Okay, so the question we're going to be discussing is, has technology changed the way that humans socialize? If so, how and what consequences result from this shift? So, I think that technology does change the way we socialize because it splits like the communication we usually had like before technology from like all in-person communication, because now we have the option of communicating online. So in a way, like, it changes because now that there's a split between people communicating online or communicating in person.
Yeah, like if I want to ask Fiona a question, I could just do it over text instead of having to like talk to her face to face, which makes it a lot more efficient. And
Yeah, but it also like takes out like face to face communication, like actually like talking to people if you're only talking through social media and like texting and stuff.
Yeah. A lot of teens spend a lot more time on digital devices, which, like Abby said, decreases face-to-face communication. So in that way, there's definitely been a change because the more access to technology that teens have, the more likely we are to use it. Just because sometimes it's more efficient than like if I was trying to talk to someone like that I wasn't with, it would just be much easier to text than to like go to their house and talk to them.
Yeah, also like it sort of like makes us seem antisocial.
due to communication being so easy through technology, it makes it harder for people to actually talk face to face and in person.
Yeah, there's kind of a debate going on about whether technology makes us more or less social, and I can kind of see it both ways because, in a way, like it's easier to communicate with people that you're not even with, so we're more social because like there's more opportunities for communication even if you're not with the person. But at the same time, then in-person communication, like people that have less social skills because it's so much easier to just text someone instead of like calling them on the phone or talking to them in person.
Also, in social settings where there is like face to face communication, people tend to, instead of talking to each other, be on their phones or be on social media. And studies say that teens nowadays use 2.5 more hours of technology per day than they have in years past.
So yeah, going along with that, like the amount of time we spend on our phones, people can argue that it would make us more social because you're talking to people that you're not with, but at the same time, like if you're with people, like in the past you would just talk to them. So social skills have been decreasing.
Yeah, and during the class discussion, someone said eventually interaction will be ruined by social media and technology, which I sort of disagree with because social media is sort of still communicating with people in a way. And I think where we are right now, it's not like leading up to never having social like interaction in person. It's
Mm-hmm. I think that people tend to overblow that, like thinking just because we're exposed to all this technology that people can't communicate in person. I mean, sure, some people are like socially awkward and like less like into like talking to people in person, but I do think a lot of people still like prefer in-person communication. And I think just because a lot of teens are exposed to a lot of technology that people just assume that we'd rather do that than talk in person.
yeah, and it's just kind of like putting everyone like in the same category, like saying there's like no in between, like either you don't use social media at all or you use it like religiously, like we saw in the
Yeah.
video
Like
about
there's a
that
lot of
girl.
in between that's not covered in any of the documentaries or studies. Like they focus on really extreme cases.
And I feel like most teens are like in that in between category. Like I can probably speak for all of us. Sure, we go on our phones a lot, but we still like talk to people in person. I wouldn't consider any of us like socially awkward.
Yeah. So we think that technology definitely has changed the way that humans socialize, but like not all the reasons are negative as many people perceive them to be. So that kind of leads us into what consequences result from this shift, and I think there's a lot of positive and negative things that can come from this.
Yeah, some positive things are it makes communication a lot easier. Like if I need like schoolwork for something, like ask what the homework is, I can just text someone in my class about it, or text or like email my teacher or something, and things like that, which is a
Yeah.
lot easier.
There's also apps you can use, like there's like Kindle apps and like flashcard apps you can use to help you study or help you like read and stuff.
Yeah. But I do think that negative things that can come from like the amount of technology we have and like the way that our communication has changed because people become like really dependent on technology for communication and access to information. So like sometimes in situations where that's not available, I feel like in the future people will have like a more difficult time like adjusting.
Yeah, and like it eliminates a lot of face-to-face interactions because I have like the ability to like FaceTime someone. It makes like seeing them and like talking to them in person seem like a lot less necessary
Yeah.
because I can talk to them on the phone or something.
Also, it like it's kind of like time consuming. Like if you have a lot of social media things to like keep up with all of them, so that also like takes away time from like other things like doing your homework or exercising or something that you like would have done before getting like all that social media stuff.
Yeah, but as far as communication, I feel like it can be negative because in the future when we go for job interviews and like interviews at colleges, you're not going to have like the option to like text with the person. You're going to have to be like able to speak to them and carry an intelligent conversation. And I feel like sometimes we have less practice with that because we're exposed to like the option of texting.
Another positive of technology is that you can get in touch with people who you don't see on like a day-to-day basis. Like if you have family that lives in another state, you get to like Skype them or like follow them on social media and see like what they're doing and how they are and stuff.
And adding on to like getting in contact easier, it's easier in like an emergency situation to like call like the cops, like your parents or something, rather than, you know, not.
Yeah, so the shift in communication like clearly has a lot of benefits, but I think another negative thing that definitely results from it is like the opportunity for cyberbullying. For example, like in the past, if you're being bullied in school, as soon as you go home, like it's all away. Like you don't have to worry about it anymore. But now on social media and even like texting people, there's so much of a larger opportunity for people to bully each other. And that's definitely a downside of having all the communication that we have. There's really no like avoiding cyberbullying.
Yeah, because it like takes away from that face-to-face thing, and people are a lot more like witty and like behind a computer screen than rather like face-to-face,
Yeah,
making it even
they can
worse.
say a lot more mean things that they wouldn't really have the guts to say in person.
Yeah, and most bullying would take place at school, and schools nowadays have like really harsh bullying policies, but being
Mhm.
able to take it at home
Yeah, and
makes
hide
it
behind the
worse.
screen. It makes people like see kind of an opportunity. Like if you don't want to get in trouble in school, oh, I can just hide behind this screen at home and bully someone else.
Yeah, and obviously they know that the only person who's really like going to see those messages is the one that they're sending it to, so they
Yeah.
have less like almost less to worry about like
Yeah.
getting caught.
And a school or like, you know, the law can only go so far with that type of stuff because they can't
Mhm.
really control what you do on like anonymous and something on stuff.
Yeah.
And things like Ask FM and like Yik Yak and stuff like that sort of like give people the opportunity to do.
Mean things.
Yeah. So basically, technology definitely has changed the way that humans socialize in positive and negative ways. And there are a lot of consequences. I think that there are more positives than negatives because even things like cyberbullying can be avoided if like you talk to people about it and they help you with it. But as far as like contacting people that you're not with and emergency contacts, those are things that are really, really helpful.